Welcome to Be Still and Notice, a yoga podcast. Join me, your host, yoga and meditation instructor Helen Taylor, to dive deeply into the vast ocean of wisdom that is yoga. Explore with me how these ancient practices can help heal and elevate us physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in an ultra-modern world. Together, we'll deepen our practice, explore our connection to divinity and our own inner landscapes with the help of special guests, guided meditations, how-tos, and oh, so much more. Yoga has the incredible power to change your life on every level, and it all begins with stillness. Now let's begin. Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 11 of season 2. And in this episode we're talking about creating your own sense of safety. And this is something that comes up a lot for me, or has done in my life, and is at the moment. So I'm sharing some personal stuff as always, and it's really interesting how this is unfolding and helping me inform my practice, my teaching, and my life. So perhaps you're someone who doesn't feel safe, and perhaps you don't even realize it. The body knows. So if you're someone who has nervous system regulation issues like IBS, eczema can be one of them. If you have a constant knot in your stomach, if you often feel a bit sick or tense, you feel bracing in your body, if you grind your teeth in your sleep, this one is for you. If you have anxiety. And I really talk about here how yoga helps create a really resilient and reliable sense of safety in the body, in the mind, and although I don't talk about it much here, spiritually as well. So I really hope you enjoy this episode, and as always I hope it gives you something, some takeaway, something to relate to, something to think about, and I hope you enjoy. Thank you. Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode. I know it's been a couple of weeks. I'm happy to be back behind the microphone, and it's a beautiful sunny day. So I have literally dragged myself away from the garden, but I am happy to be here, and I really feel so grateful to have the freedom and the opportunity to do this, and to use my voice in a way that is hopefully of service to you, to anyone who listens. And I really hope that in every episode there might be something that stirs something within you, that moves you, that you recognize in yourself, that is helpful, that you can pass on to somebody else, that makes you laugh, that lifts you, that you can relate to, however small, however large. That is my savor, my service to you, is that hopefully in every episode there is something that might help you, however large or small. So I've dragged myself away from the sunshine with the doggies in the garden, And this morning I was teaching an in-person class, and I forgot just how beautiful in-person is. I've been doing online for such a long time now, and it is really lovely. It's just a small little intimate class, but it's so nice to have that energy. So I'm going to be doing more and more of these, I think, in the future. And I've started, if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, I've started doing slightly different posts. And of course, the big powers that are Meta want us to do quick, kind of junk foody, consumable posts and reels. And really I'm rebelling against that. If you record a reel, there's an option there where you can cut the silences. And I used it once or twice. And then I thought, no, because when you listen to somebody's voice and the tone and what they're talking about, especially when it's something that is not fast-paced, that is in-depth, the kind of things that we talk about on here, the pauses are really magical, or can be, and they give brevity, and they give depth, they give meaning, they give a sense of reverence, they give space around the words. So I'm rebelling. I'm rebelling, and I'm leaving and making these longer and in real time, and as real and raw, as honest as can be. And it feels really good. So if you do follow me on Instagram, I'd love to, or Facebook, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And carrying on from one of those little thought trails of mine that I had in the woods when I was walking my dogs yesterday, it's something I wanted to talk to you about today, which is really central to my life at the moment. It's a really key theme. And I think it's often overlooked. And really, we're talking about your own personal sense of safety. Now, I don't necessarily mean physical safety here, but of course that's really important. I mean your psychological and spiritual and emotional sense of safety. So if you're someone who has had a traumatic past, if you're someone like me who, when I was very young, I learned that the world wasn't a safe place for various different reasons. It wasn't safe, I wasn't safe, and more than that, I was invisible. So no one could see that I didn't feel safe. No one knew, no one understood. And the two combined to create a personality, if you like, a protective system in my body, which meant that I did various different things in order to feel safe. This translates to, later on in life, the therapeutic term of anxious attachment. And perhaps this is you in relationships. When someone is anxiously attached, they have a fear of, there's lots of ways to describe it, but they have a fear of losing that person. And so they grasp and they hold on. And it actually has the opposite effect of driving that person away. If you're anxiously attached, you can think all sorts of things are happening when they're not. You could be jealous, you could be overly protective. It comes out in many ways. And you can also seek safety in your partner in a way that, again, isn't necessarily healthy. Now, I'm going to caveat this and say I'm not a therapist and I'm not a psychologist. So this is my personal understanding from the things that have happened to me and from my experience with yoga and my clients and life. But I have seen that this lack of sense of safety comes out in so many different ways. It can also mean constant anxiety, chronic anxiety, and that's how it most commonly shows up from my experience. And when I talk about anxiety, I mean that not in your stomach all the time, even when you're doing something relaxing, that hunching of the shoulders, that gut churning feeling when you wake up in the morning. For me, when my anxiety is really bad, I wake up from my sleep going, that's how it can manifest sometimes, as if someone's thrown a bucket of water, cold water, over my head. Now, as we know, we've talked about the nervous system. If we don't feel psychologically and emotionally safe, the body doesn't feel safe. And so it means that the body is constantly in fight or flight, survival mode, which, as we know, because we've talked about it in previous episodes, is incredibly harmful for your health. This system is brilliant. We need it. It is a survival mechanism. But when it's constantly activated, it leads to chronic health conditions and all sorts of stuff going on in your body. For me, IBS, again, a really, really common nervous system ailment or condition is IBS, because when the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight system, is activated almost all the time, the gut actually shuts down. And over time, this has really confusing effects on the body, and the gut just stops working properly and can lead to all sorts of problems. So what I'm trying to say is a lot of people don't feel safe in their body. Maybe this is you. Maybe you don't even realize it. I didn't know any of this until about 2-3 years ago. And even today, which is why I said it's top of my it's a big theme in my life right now. Even now, I'm still learning about myself and the impact that these things have had. So when I turned 40, I suddenly realized that I'd been anxious my entire life. It was one of those aha, whoa, light bulb moments. I remember I was watching TV and someone was talking about anxiety in children. And I just thought, oh my God, that was me. From as early as I can remember, I had stomach problems. And I would get that knot in my stomach all the time. I had vivid nightmares. I would get really panicky about certain situations, scenarios, worried. And I was, and I still am, HSP, so I'm a highly sensitive person. You can take a test, find out if you are, but you probably know you are if you are already. And I had this light bulb moment. And of course, if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, if you're Gen X, anxiety wasn't a thing with kids. It was, you're being silly. Don't be so silly. So, of course, it's a different world that we live in now. There are so many labels for these psychological scenarios, for these symptoms, for these ways of being and thinking. In fact, too many, I think, and I'm going to come on to that a bit later. But in many ways, the positives are, if you know this about yourself, it creates a space and a distance, and you can look for solutions. If you don't know and you think that's normal, then there is no solution, because you don't think that there's a problem. So when I realized, oh my God, that's me, it opened up a whole new area of self-inquiry and self-examination in my life. And I can really put this down to, this discovery, I can really put down to my yoga practice. And it opened up a whole new life for me in a way, because not long after that, I decided to leave my physically and emotionally abusive marriage. And I got more therapy. It started therapy for the first time, talking therapy, and really delved into examining myself on a therapeutic level and a psychological level. But there's no way that I could have done that. There's no way, I don't think I would have come to this realization if it hadn't been for my previous serious yoga practice, my yoga teacher training and my consistent practice. So I'm being really honest with you here, because I think that it is so common for people to not really realize these things about themselves. It surprises me so often when I have new clients and we're getting into our yoga practice, and I always ask, how does this feel in your body? Can you describe the feeling of this pose or this movement or this breath in your body? And so many people are not able to describe that. They're not able to find the words. So what I'm looking for example, and there is no right or wrong because everyone is, of course, completely individual, is say we're doing downward facing dog. And what is the feeling in your legs when you do downward facing dog? What is the feeling in your head and your neck when the head is hanging loosely in downward facing dog? And you could look for words like for your head to be light and loose and free, the back of your legs to feel strong or weak or heavy or light, any of these kind of descriptive words. But so many people are unable to come out of the mind and into the body. And I really think this is related to our sense of embodiment and safety. Because when you feel unsafe psychologically, and therefore in the body, somatically in the body, there is a disconnect. When you go into fight or flight, sympathetic nervous system, your mind sharpens, adrenaline is pumped around your body, but also the blood supply is moved around in really interesting ways. And you don't think entirely rationally or clearly. It's a very primal response. And when this is chronically activated, and when people have experienced significant trauma in their life, there can be a disconnect from the body, a real disconnect. So how does yoga create this sense of safety for us? So first of all, from my experience, as we know, yoga, the practices of yoga create a container. It's a space for you to be in the present moment. So you come and you sit on your mat, and whether you're guided by a teacher or you're doing your own practice, the effect is the same. The container of the mat and of saying, I am here to do yoga, and focusing on the breath brings you right into the present moment. When you're in the present, anxiety loosens its hold on the body, because anxiety is about, more often than not, worrying about the future and what can happen next. It's a fear of the future. On the other hand, depression is getting lost in the past, ruminating over things that have happened in the past. But when we're present, we're just present. We are just as we are. And this is a really, I've spoken about this before, a really special place. Some people call it the neutral mind. Being in the present is being in reality. So presence helps us with our anxiety. Now, the more we move into beautiful poses and asana, and the more we move, and this is why it's really important to go at your own pace and to have a teacher that teaches you safely and slowly, the safer you can begin to feel in your body. And if you're out of your head and in your body, so when we use the breath and we say move with the breath, on the inhale do this, on the exhale do that, we come out of the thinking mind and into the somatic system, into your body, into presence. It's a beautiful dance of coming away from the web of what can be really dark psychologically in the mind. We come back to what's real, the present moment, the body, and the breath. Meditation, breath work, so powerful for this sense of safety. Meditation because we're sitting with ourselves in silence. Now, you may like to use music, guided meditation, anything like that is absolutely fine. But essentially, you're sitting with yourself. For many people, this is absolutely terrifying. I know a lot of people that hate or avoid this at all costs because of the fear of what's going to unravel and unfold in their minds. But if you can work up to meditation in very gentle ways, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, really slowly, really gently, you're basically learning to hold yourself safely. You're learning that you can bear your own mind. You're learning that it's okay to be still, to be quiet. What's the worst that can happen? Now, clearly, if you have been diagnosed with things like PTSD and bipolar, these are really serious conditions, and you may need some extra help from therapists, psychiatrists. But essentially, what I'm saying is the same. And if you have one of these conditions, you can use these alongside. If your therapist says yes, you can use these yogic practices alongside your treatment to really help you. Pranayama practice, the breathing practices, are an incredibly powerful tool to help regulate your nervous system. So we've talked about the nervous system being chronically activated because you don't feel safe. Somewhere along the line, you've learned, like I did, that the world is not a nice place to be and you're on edge constantly. And somewhere along the line, although your mind might go, yeah, I'm fine, the body is still going, nah, I'm not fine at all. So this shows up as bracing, holding the belly, holding the breath, clenching the jaw, clenching the teeth, really tight fascia. Fascia is a really big area that's opening up at the moment. Really tight fascia in the back of the neck, all the way down the back, anywhere in your body basically. The tight psoas muscles that sit deeply in the groin and the muscles that join the legs to the spine. These are fight or flight muscles, and they can give people a lot of back pain and hip pain and all sorts of things. So pranayama practices, gentle, consistent pranayama practices, basically help to regulate your nervous system by taking back control of your body. Very gently, one step at a time. So we've talked about this before in our previous episode about the nervous system, which I'll link in the show notes. When you do these pranayama practices that extend the breath, you're telling your body that it's safe. Because when the body is safe, you breathe deeply. You relax, you breathe deeply. But if you are in a chronic stress state, and although your mind thinks, I'm just sat watching TV, but your body is clenched and your breath is shallow, your body is not thinking that it's safe. So we need to tell it, we need to talk the body's language, we need to use the breath, send that signal and say, it's okay, you can relax, you can let go, you're safe. And over time, this has a really beautiful cumulative effect on your body. Now I'm talking about pranayama here as opposed to breath work, and I'm going to do another episode on breathwork versus pranayama because the two are very different, and we talked about it a bit with Katya in another episode, my teacher Katya. And really I want to make the distinction here because I think a gentler, consistent pranayama practice where you take one breath practice, so for example the full yogic breath, and you do that every day, every other day, a couple of times a week consistently, you will notice results really quickly, but in such a gentle way for your body. A lot of these really trendy breathwork practices are incredible, but they are really, really strong on your body. I know, I've done one of them, and they're great for quick changing and altering of the state of your mind. They're great for a quick psychic dive. If you're doing going to a plant medicine ceremony, or you're doing something that's really transformational, it can be a fantastic tool. But you do not want to be doing these breathwork practices like holotropic breathing once a week. Nuh-uh. And I might get a few people disagree with me here, but I think that gentle, consistent regulation of your nervous system through a gentler practice is so much better for the body and the mind. And it builds resistance, and it builds this feeling of safety, of holding yourself, a container for yourself. Because although you might be doing it through a teacher, say through me or another teacher online or somebody else out there, they can't do it for you. You're the one doing the practice. It's your body, your breath, and the effects are just beautiful. And you can reach, if altered states is your thing, you will reach altered states the deeper you go in. But that shouldn't be the goal. When I say altered states, let me explain a little bit more. I'm talking about, deep dives into your psyche. We will alter our feeling of safety. We will alter the nervous system, but gently, consistently. We will make it feel safe, make the body feel safe. There's a resilience that is built. So when we add all of these things together, our asana practice, our presence practice, moment to moment, our meditation practice, holding yourself in stillness. I can do this. I can be with my mind. I can be with my thoughts. And more than that, I can be the witness to my mind and know that I am not my thoughts. Our pranayama practice, we can regulate the nervous system. We can actually teach our body to feel safe again. Even though the mind might think, I'm fine, I'm absolutely fine. The body, if you have IBS, if you're clenching your stomach all the time, if your shoulders are up around your ears, you're frowning, your jaw, you're grinding your teeth in your sleep, your body does not feel safe in any way, shape or form. So all of these things together are a really beautiful, powerful tool to create your own sense of safety in the body, safety in the mind, emotional safety. Now, it's not easy. It's not easy. And depending on your past life experiences and where you're at, you may need extra help. And I would always advocate talking therapies and other healing modalities, whatever you choose to seek out. But the two in yoga is a really beautiful sister science, just like Garima said in our last episode, or the one previously, a sister science to so many. If we can learn to hold ourselves in safety and create our own sense of safety, we can live so much more fully. Feeling safe in our own skin breeds a feeling of agency, confidence, resilience. It makes you feel brave, courageous, bold, grounded, secure. And this massively impacts our relationships, the way we turn up for life, the choices we make, the things that we do. It impacts everything across the board. It can help us just feel fuller, more whole, less graspy, less needy, less, I need this thing. No, I'm okay. I'm safe. I can hold myself. And I can hold myself in love. I think women particularly, although men do, but women particularly struggle with this self-love. And too often we can look outside of ourselves for validation and for, just this sense of I am enough. When really we should be able to tell ourselves this every single day. I love myself. I love you. I am enough. I am more than enough. I am whole. I'm safe. I'm capable. I am secure. All of these things are really really transformative. Thank you so much for listening to the Be Still and Notice podcast. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and perhaps it even added something to your life. If you know someone that might benefit, please share this episode with them, and of course a review would be so much appreciated. Please find all the information relating to this episode, including relevant links, in the show notes. And until next time, sending you so much love and light on your path to yoga.